Hi, I'm Ning Yap.
Hi, I'm Michelle Yap. Welcome to Toast Talk with the Yappies. Ning and myself, we have helped a lot of our clients restructure their property portfolio, and we have worked with this wonderful lady from Circular Law Chambers, also known as CLC, who has helped us and our clients for the various legal services that is required. And this wonderful lady,
The pink, luxy, glamorous, to us, she's not only beautiful, but she's very friendly and she's very intelligent. So she's none other than Debbie
Brittany
Lim. We are very blessed today to have Debbie with us. Okay, people know her as Debbie, all right, because we know that she's very, very busy. So this time
we have to book her like more than 1 month ago.
Yes!
Yeah,
so
so
we have to
blessed
block her
have
calendar, right? Thanks for having you with us in our Toast Talk. Usually we will share with our audience, okay, what are the topics that's close to their heart.
Yeah, so having said that, right, actually when we meet up with our clients, one of the hot topics that came up was actually decoupling. Right, because they're actually trying to see how they can restructure their property portfolio and how they can actually expand on their ownership for properties in Singapore.
Yes.
Yeah, so would you be able to share with our audience, right, what sort of, what are the considerations as well as maybe things that need to take note of, and maybe you can begin by sharing what decoupling is all about.
Okay. The proper legal term is fractional purchase. Decoupling, it's easier to link it to what this transaction is about because it's essentially decoupling. So a couple and then you split it into two. So basically you can actually decouple a property if it is, for example, like a joint tenancy or even tenants in common. So you are actually removing one owner's name out of the property ownership structure, leaving one behind. So we actually realized that a lot of couples are actually using this method now to go on to free up one name so that they can actually purchase another property for like either investment or just to grow their family property portfolio. Yeah.
What are the things to take note for decoupling?
Okay. So I would say there's actually three main things. The first one would be whether it is even worth it, for them. So I think before anyone wants to start off their decoupling journey, it is very, very important to approach the Yappies first to get them to actually help you with the calculations. Whether it is worth it to decouple your property and then go on to purchase the next one, or maybe sometimes the situation, deems that they should not actually decouple and then just go ahead.
This one I totally agree because there are times where for example, one of the, let's say the partner is not even working, right? And then from there, the loan side will also be an issue. And then of course, let's say if they decouple, then they also have to top out the CPF and accrue interest. Right?
Unfortunately, they were not able to decouple because one of the spouses that wanted to actually remove his name, he realized that he actually used too much of his CPF. So when he wanted to remove his name, he needed to refund the principal plus interest, and they didn't have the finances to do so. Yeah, and then another scenario was also couple that the husband was the main breadwinner, but the wife is a housewife, so she didn't have an income, she wasn't working. So even though the husband wanted to remove his name to actually go on to purchase another property, they found that they couldn't because there was still an outstanding loan on the current property. So the bank was not actually able to restructure the loan solely under the wife's name. So she couldn't actually finance it. So it doesn't apply to everybody.
Right. And then decoupling for buyer's stamp duty is also involved, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Correct. Then if they fall under the period whereby the seller stamp duty still apply, then that's also another consideration.
Yeah, correct.
That's
okay.
true. Let's say for decoupling wise, right, because one party will exit the property. So the remaining party, if for whatever reason, touch wood, anything happens, so usually the surviving party whose name is not in this property, so how does that go about?
They actually decoupled quite long ago and get a will that the wife's name was remaining in the landed property. The husband removed his name so that he could go and to purchase another condo too. But I guess, when you're really busy, that your own will is the last thing that you want to actually worry about. So she passed on without a will, left behind 2 young children below 21. So they were about, I think, 8 and 10. In these kind of scenarios, it will actually fall under the Interstate Succession Act. Well, in this act, they actually show like who you've left behind, and then it would just mean that that's how your assets will be split. So in this case, they left behind the husband and the 2 children. So that means the husband will get 50%, the other 2 children will get the other 50, split equally. So in this case, there was like minority interest in the house. So when he actually wanted to like refinance it or even take a term loan or like try to sell it, he found that he was stuck. Yeah, because the minors couldn't sign off, and the banks also wouldn't give a loan when there are minors. So we actually had to help him get a court order. Yeah, that's why every time when clients come to us to decouple, we always also let them know that since there's only one person's name in the property now, it would be advisable to actually draw up a will, or even a lasting power of attorney. So the husband was the one that has left his name in the current property. The wife removed her name to go on to invest in another one. However, the husband actually got into a really bad accident, which left him in a coma. He lost his mental capacity, and in that have an LPA, lasting power of attorney, done. So when the wife actually wanted to rent out the condo to actually get the sales proceeds to finance like his medication or like just buy equipment like to improve his quality of life, she couldn't because there was no LPA done. It was still under his name. So we got that deputyship order done. Then she could actually go on to sign on the tenancy agreement. If anyone plans to decouple, they definitely need to actually think of the future. I know everybody always thinks that nothing will happen to them, but I think when that actually happens, the last thing you want is to actually stress out your loved ones when they're already having to deal with the grief, you know?
Right. So I mean, with that, right, Michelle, I think it's about time.
Yes.
Okay, because we've been
She has
talking
been waiting for us.
Yeah, because we've been talking about LPA, we're talking about will, but a lot of times, like what Debbie says, being a professional, we're just too busy to even plan for our own. And then for us, we've been advising our clients to do that, but we ourselves, sadly to say, we have not, but we should, because we still have our loved ones who are left behind and they really have to fend for themselves when things happen that way. So Debbie, that's a very, very good advice. I think it's one lead to another. Okay, as much as you like to invest in property to increase in your portfolio, but you also need to think about what to do next. And we're very blessed to have Debbie with us today.
To share with us such important information so that we will really take note. If let's say you are thinking of decoupling, it's also very important to think about the financial planning, the timeline, the LPA, the will.
Right.
If you have any burning questions, do feel free to contact us because we'll be very happy to reach out to you.
Yes, you can even contact the CLC for more advice on some of the questions pertaining to your property. I'm Ling Yap.
I'm Michelle Yap, and do remember to subscribe to our YouTube channels for chats like this, and we'll see you soon at our next episode.